For those of you who are watching on YouTube or haven't met me, I'm Melissa Corkum. I'm a parent coach bringing you parenting advice so that you can be less frustrated with your kids and have more fun. I blog at thecorkboardonline.com and connect with parents on Facebook in a private group called Essentially Connected. We would love to have you join our community over there. So, if you think about it, poor impulse control is the catalyst for a ton of ADHD symptoms. Our kids impulsively do things like lying, hitting, yelling, tapping, spinning, incessant talking, and they move on to the next shiny object, right? They can't focus on anything. And they rarely think about the consequences when they're doing the thing that they're doing, right? A lot of them, if you stop them and ask about the rules, they can tell you what the rules are, but their impulsiveness keeps them going at such a fast pace that often they're doing things that are against the rules before they've even noticed it. So if you've noticed that in your kid, you can say, me too, right? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the brain science behind this. Remember that our kids' brains function differently and are even structured differently than what we call neurotypical brains. Our kids' brains may have lower dopamine, and they also have weaker pathways between the lizard impulsive part of our brain, the instinctual part, and the thinking part of our brain, or the logic brain. And so those two parts of the brain aren't communicating in a way that keeps impulsivity in check. So I'm going to give you 8 ways to decrease impulsivity in your child. I'm going to start with things that are pretty simple that you could start using right away, all the way up to things where you will need a little bit of help from a professional. Okay, so number 1, start by asking your child questions when they're in the midst of something. So we have a child who hums and sings and taps, and he generally makes a lot of noise when he's sitting still reading or doing schoolwork. And so I will often, I used to say, stop tapping, right? I would be really, really frustrated. And now I ask questions like, hey, buddy, why might I be calling your name? Right? And now I say that so often, I can say, hey, buddy, right? And that causes him to stop, engage his thinking brain, do a quick body scan, and think, am I doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, right? And so he's getting better at catching himself doing things he's not supposed to be doing. The second thing is practice mindfulness. Introduce a practice of mindfulness with your child. Mindfulness has been shown to affect the part of the brain that helps us reduce our impulsivity. It actually changes the structure of our brain. It has been shown to increase the gray matter in all the places of our brain that matter. So there are a bajillion different ways to do mindfulness, but I like the simple act of mindful breathing. You can also look for mindfulness apps or YouTube videos. I particularly like the breathing bubble in the Stop, Breathe, Think app. There's also a very fun Stop, Breathe, Think app for kids that's available on iPads. And so you want to get about 10 minutes of mindfulness in with your kids a day. It can be broken up, maybe 5 times for 2 minutes or 2 times for 5 minutes each. You don't want to do it in the moment, right? But you want to create a routine of it. You want to work it into your routine. That practice of mindfulness is building your child's brain to then later in the moment decrease the impulsivity. Number 3 is think about supplementation. It has been shown that a zinc deficiency or an omega-3 deficiency or vitamin D deficiency can increase impulse control struggles. So you want to make sure that your child's getting enough of all of those things. If you're supplementing with minerals, you want to make sure that you get a chelated mineral, which just means that it's kind of already partially digested. It's going to have greater absorption for your child. Definitely check with a medical professional about dosage and to check to see if your child may be deficient in those areas. Look for someone with a holistic health background who will look for therapeutic levels of those things, not just the minimum we need, right, to survive. Try increasing protein in your child's diet. Protein is really necessary for proper neurotransmitter production. Dopamine is one of those neurotransmitters. A lot of our kids are pasta crazy, right? Or carb crazy. And so they may not be getting enough protein, especially if they have a suppressed diet or appetite. Number 5 is increase dopamine naturally through things like exercise. That naturally increases your brain's dopamine. And having fun, having a success, gives a little hit of dopamine. Being connected to other people. So think about ways you can get out this summer and have fun. Get out in the sun, right, to increase that vitamin D, and that will increase your child's dopamine levels, which will help decrease their impulsivity. Number 6, think about essential oils that increase dopamine levels. So those would be things like bergamot, lavender, and lemon. Those are all linked to increased dopamine levels. And in fact, lemon is the official oil of focus. Now we're getting into things that are a little bit more complicated and may take a little bit more time and money out of your pockets, but effective nonetheless. Integrated listening therapy is a multi-sensory therapy that helps the brain create new synapses, right? It's going to strengthen the connection between the lower brain and the upper brain, or the impulsive brain and the thinking brain. Neurofeedback is another therapy that you may want to consider exploring. This is a way to increase appropriate brain wave frequencies in the prefrontal cortex, or the thinking brain. If you have something that has helped, we would love for you to jump in and share it with our community. Remember, you guys are great parents. You're doing great work, and power on, friends. Now, before I let you go, real quick, I did want to mention, I almost forgot, that I will be running my free 3-day live training called 3 Secrets Every Parent of a Child with ADHD Needs to Know. It's backed by popular demand. Some of you didn't catch all of the videos last time, and so you were wondering if you could catch them again and the replays came down and you missed out. So you will have another opportunity to get that information or rewatch it to you can always find something new, a tidbit that you didn't catch last time. That will be starting on July 15th. It's a Monday. I will be going live for 3 days straight at 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, the replays will stay up for the remainder of that week if you can't join us live, but to grab your spot for that training and to make sure you get the reminders, you want to go to ADHDparenting-secrets.com, and you can register there to make sure you have all the insider scoop, bonuses, all of those things. And so anyway, again, remember, you guys are awesome, and I will see you next week.